Hello everybody, this is the second video of the playlist entitled Huaco and Valle de la Luna. In this video I'm going to talk about Huaco, which belongs to the Paleozoic era, which is the era that precedes the dinosaur era. We're going to virtually take a trip from San Juan Capital, following the Route 40 up to this roundabout, and then from this roundabout we are going to go right following route 40, which is this part here, and then following this route exactly at the national route 40 at the kilometer 3620, we are going to see these rocks that belong to the Paleozoic era. But in order to understand what I'm going to show you, we have to remember that before the Paleozoic era we have bacteria, we have cyanobacteria, we have algae, and more than 500 million years ago something amazing happened. What it is called the Cambric explosion. A huge amount of plant and animal races in the world. So one of the most representative animals of that time are the trilobite, and you can see fossils of this animal in this part of the mountain, belong to the Cambric period. And if you see this little dot here, many years ago there were manufacturing caliza, which the origin of this caliza is mainly organic, formed for the shell of these little animals. This is used mainly for cal and cement, which means that part of the very old animal history of our planet is we can find in the material that form our homes. Then 70 million years later, the Ordovicic period started, and a more complex form of life appear. We have the cephalopoda, which is the ancestor of octopus. Cephalo means head and podo feet. Gasteropoda, because they use the stomach to walk. And this kind of fossils we can find in the other side of the rock. That's why here you see more white, this part. And the important thing is that, well, there are a lot of more scientific detail about that. You can visit this page and then you will find more detail about that. But now we are going to go on following the route 40 towards Huaco, and then when you find the first roundabout, you can either visit the very interesting historic tree and the grave of Buenaventura Luna, already in the center of Huaco, or you can go on towards the police control, and you will see a very famous mill, and this is quite important not only in San Juan but in Argentina. So if you are interested, you can find more information about that in this site. Now if you go this direction, you go to La Rioja, another province, and you are going to go in this direction following what we call Cuesta de Huaco. So following this direction, you will cross a bridge. Underneath we have the river, and then just before, sort of 300 meters, like 10 minutes walking the road, you will find an abandoned osteria, and you you will find thermal water that you can use. You don't have to pay. It's for everybody. And at that time in the world, after the Ordovicic period, the fishes appeared for the first time in the earth. They were living in a quite aquatic world. Then the continent emerged, and as a consequence of that, part of the animal that were living in water had to be adapted to solid ground. So the amphibians were started to get born. The amphibians has the peculiarity that they lay the egg on the water, just like fishes. So as the water was more and more far, the reptiles designed another form of egg with shell, that were able to live not in the water but in the solid ground. So this is the first difference between amphibians and reptiles. So when you are what is first, chicken or egg, actually you should ask what is first, chicken or eggs or reptile. And reptile appear in the Carboniferous period. So what has to do with the thermal water and the abandoned osteria? Well, this is a relationship. The sediment constitute a gigantic cemetery of plant and animal. Approximately 500 million years ago, part of the Ordovicic period was sedimentated, and with this kind of fossils. And then 180 million years ago later, part of the Carboniferous period was sedimentated. So where the reptiles were living. So about 65 million years ago, the oceanic and continental plate collide like this. As a result, the Cordillera de los Andes, the range, start to rise, and the surface of the earth lift and turn. So what many years ago was horizontal, you can see now almost vertical. So the fossils of plant and animal that lived at that time were unbared or lifted like this, exposing a record of our planet. If you want to see this contact between the two periods, you from the osteria there's a wall. You exactly at the end of this wall you will see a clear difference between two different kind of rock, and in this wall you can see fossils like this. So this is the wall zoom with the zoom, and then you can see here that we are going to do another zoom, and then you can see in the same osteria you can see the fossils. Now if we go to the building, you can see a fossil, for example, here. You can see a fossil, for example, here, because people use this rock as a part of the contraction. Now 500 million years ago, roughly, part of the Ordovicic period sedimentated with fossils like this, and 180 million years ago, part the Carboniferous period where the reptile lived were sedimentated. Now, what happened with 180 million years of sedimentation, the time in which fishes and amphibians appear in the world? Well, they were sedimentated, but why this sedimentation is not here? Well, the reason is that in the Carboniferous period occurred one of the biggest glaciation in the Paleozoic era, and the traces of this huge block of ice slide, and then took off all of these 100 million years of sedimentation. So over this already took off part, the Carboniferous period, period was sedimented. The interesting thing here is that the traces of the traces of the glacier were also form fossils. So this is the fossilization of the glacier that took off 100 million years of sedimentation. And you can visit them. If you want to visit them, then you go from the thermal water back to the main road, cross the bridge, and then you go on like sort of 5-10 minutes by car, and then you will see a very clearly seen sign that said Mirador, in which you will look very beautiful scene like this. Crossing the Mirador, crossing the road, walking about 40 minutes, looking at the places like this, you will find the fossilization of the glaciers. Now, in the Carboniferous period, the continent started to get closer and closer, and at the end of the Paleozoic era, the period is called Permic, all of the continents were already united in one supercontinent called Pangaea. So more than 200 million years ago, in the Permic, like in the other period, the sedimentation was performed in horizontal layers. But after the Andes, the big range Andes were arise, some continent took this vertical position, and the result is this geoform, which, as you can see, it has different color if you see vertically, but actually this that is you right now you look at that vertical in 200 million years ago was horizontal. Okay, so we finish with Huaco in the context of the Paleozoic era. Now we are going to, in the next video, we're going to go on following the arrow of time, and we are going to travel following the route 150 up to Valle La Luna, and there we are going to study the Mesozoic era, which is the era where the dinosaurs lived. Okay, thank you very much. I see you in the next video. We're going to talk about Valle La Luna.